The sound came sharp. Nadia fell to her knees on the dusty front porch of her late father's house as her auntie, Sandra, raised a slipper high in the air. Jerry bent over her, trying to shield her with his arms. Her uncle Namdi stood at the gate with a heavy padlock, his jaw tight, his eyes hard. The morning sun was hot and cruel. Neighbors peeked through curtains. "You cannot disgrace this family, Nadia," Auntie Sandra shouted, her voice shaking with anger. "You, this witch, after killing your parents, you went and married a poor, homeless man without our consent." Another slap. Nadia's cheek burned. Jerry held her hand. His shirt was dusty. Their 2 old bags lay open, spilling a small pile of clothes. And a photo of Nadia's parents, Emeka and Margaret, smiling at the beach the year before the accident. Uncle Nanamdi pointed at Jerry. "Get out. You are not sleeping here. You will not destroy our family heritage. Nadia, you will not live in this house and bring shame with one poor gateman." The other uncles, silent and stern, dragged their bags to the gate and flung them outside. The bags bounced on the road. The neighbors gasped. Nadia's heart dropped to her feet. "I am not even sure you are our brother's daughter," Uncle Namdi added, face cold as stone. "Go away with your homeless man. Find somewhere else to stay where the community will not see you and laugh at us." Nadia's eyes stung with tears, but she did not scream. She clasped Jerry's hands and whispered, "Please, we have nowhere to go." Auntie Sandra raised the slipper one last time. "You are too small to destroy this family." The gate slammed. The new padlock clicked shut. The metal was hot and bright in the Sunday. There was silence, only the sound of a baby crying down the street. Nadia stared at the gate, her father's gate now locked against her. She could still see the mango tree in the yard, the one her father planted when she turned 5. She could smell the soap she used to wash the corridor. But she was outside now, outside her own home. "Jerry," she whispered, shaking. "What do we do?" Jerry looked at her, gentle and steady, like he always did. He brushed the dust off her shoulder. "Stand up, my love," he said softly. "We will be okay." "How?" Nadia asked. "We have no place. We have no money." She swallowed back a sob. "What if they are right?" He squeezed her hands. "They are not right." Nadia blinked. How did her life become this? Just yesterday, she had worn a simple white dress to the court. Jerry wore a neat shirt, and old black shoes shined with palm oil. They held hands and signed papers. It was not a fancy wedding, but it felt safe. It felt honest. She remembered Jerry's vow, steady, warm, true. "I will help you finish school, Nadia. You will study software engineering and build apps for children in the village. I promise." They had come home after the court wedding, planning to cook rice and beans and call it a feast. Instead, the uncles and Auntie Sandra had stormed the house, shouting and pushing, pointing and accusing. Now here they were on the road with 2 bags and bruised faces and a closed gate between them and everything they used to know. Nadia picked up the photo of her parents from the dust and wiped it with the edge of her dress. Emeka and Margaret smiled back at her, frozen in a happy time. "I miss you," she whispered. Before the slaps, it had all begun with a dream. Nadia used to sit under the mango tree with her father's old laptop, the one with missing keys, and teach the neighbors' little boys how to count with a simple game she made on Scratch. She wanted to build learning apps for children who had no teachers, no light, and no internet. She wanted to make school a friend, not a fear. Then the accident happened. A bus, a rainy night, a call that changed the house forever. After the burial, her uncles moved in and talked about family property and the right thing. They said selling the house would help everyone. Nadia said no. This house was her parents' dream. It was all she had left. She felt small and alone until Jerry came. He was quiet, respectful, and kind. He said he was a graduate, still looking for a better job, but working as a security guard in a biscuit company for now. He showed up with a bag of bread for the compound children and shared it without being asked. He listened to Nadia talk about code and light and children and laughed when she made jokes that were not even funny. He promised to sponsor her studies when he found a steady job. He said, "I don't have much yet, but I have plans, and I have you." Nadia took a deep breath and jumped with her heart. "Yes," she said, and married him. Back to the gate. Now, on the road, she felt that jump again, but this time like falling. Jerry stood, dusted his trousers, and did something that made Nadia freeze. He reached into the side of one bag and took out a phone, not just any phone. A new, expensive phone, sleek and shiny. Nadia stared. "Jerry, where did you get that?" He unlocked it with a calm swipe, eyes still on her. "There is something I need to tell you," he said. Her heartbeat quickened. The neighbors were whispering now. Auntie Sandra's voice drifted over the fence, still angry, still hot. The padlock sat like a small, cruel sun between Nadia and her past. Jerry scrolled, tapped, and lifted the phone to his ear. His voice changed, still gentle, but firm, like someone putting on a jacket that actually fits. "David," he said, "bring the cars. Come to Emeka's house. Yes, now." Nadia's mouth fell open. "Cars?" she whispered. "What cars? Jerry, who is David?" Jerry ended the call and put the phone away. He took her hands again. "Nadia," he said, "the world you see is not the whole world. Please trust me for a few more minutes." "But trust me." They waited. The road hummed. A dog barked twice behind a gate. The neighbors kept peeking. Auntie Sandra's voice grew quiet, then silent, and then, like thunder without rain, they heard the engines. Low, smooth, powerful. 3 black SUVs turned the corner and rolled down the street like a river of glass and shadow. Drivers in neat suits, dark windows that held the sky like mirrors. The cars stopped at the gate. The last SUV opened by itself, and a man in black stepped out, walked to Jerry, and bowed his head. "Sir," he said, "we came as fast as we could." Time stopped. Nadia looked from the man to the cars to Jerry. Her breath was shallow. The neighbor's curtains fluttered. Someone dropped a spoon in a kitchen and did not bother to pick it up. Jerry did not puff his chest or smile wide. He did not show off. He only turned to Nadia and spoke softly, the way he always spoke to her when no one was watching. "There is a part of my life I hid," he said. "I hid it to find something real." He nodded toward the cars, his eyes never leaving hers. "Please, come with me. I will explain everything." Her legs felt like paper. Her heart felt like a drum. "Who are you, Jerry?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. He reached for her bag, lifted it like a feather, and offered her his hand. "Let me show you," he said. The back door of the first SUV clicked open. Nadia stood at the edge of the only home she had ever known, with a locked gate behind her and 3 black cars in front, and a husband who suddenly felt like a stranger and maybe like a miracle. She took a slow step forward. He guided her gently to the open back door of a Bentley at the front. "I told you to trust me," he said softly. Still in shock, Nadia hesitated. Behind her, she could almost feel Auntie Sandra and Uncle Namdi's eyes from inside the house, peering through the curtains. The neighbors stood in clumps, whispering, craning their necks. Every gaze burned into her back. Jerry bent closer. "Nadia, I never lied to you about wanting a better life. I only hid how much of it I already had. I'll explain everything inside." Trembling, Nadia let him lead her into the car. Inside the Bentley, the leather seats hugged her body like nothing she'd ever felt before. The scent of new leather and cologne filled the air. A screen blinked to life in front of her. Jerry sat beside her, calm, while the driver shut the door quietly and moved to the wheel. As the car purred to life and began to roll, Nadia pressed her hands against her lap, staring at Jerry as if he had grown 2 heads. You said you were a security guard," she whispered. "You said you were still looking for a decent job." Jerry took a deep breath. He reached for her hand again, his eyes steady. "I am Jerry. That part never changed. But what I didn't tell you is, I am also the CEO of Gentech." Nadia gasped. Gentech? She almost choked on the name. Everyone in Nigeria knew Gentech. It was the tech company that had built learning platforms, banking apps, and tools schools were using across Africa. Gentech was worth billions. And its CEO. She stared at him, her lips trembling. "But why would you pretend to be a gateman?" Jerry looked out the tinted window for a moment, then back at her. His voice dropped to a quiet truth. "Because money blinds people. Status blinds people. Every woman I met wanted the billionaire, not the man. I wanted someone who would choose me without the cars, without the houses, without the name. So I hid. I stripped myself of everything and worked as a gateman for months. And then," he smiled faintly, "then I met you." Nadia's throat closed. Tears filled her eyes. She remembered all the times she had spoken to him under the mango tree, telling him about her dream of building apps for children. She had chosen him because he had listened, because he had promised to support her even when he looked poor. "Jerry," she whispered, shaking her head. "I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," he said, placing a finger gently on her hand. "Just know that I meant every promise. You will go to school, you will build your dream. And I will be with you, not as the billionaire CEO, but as your husband." Her tears spilled. She leaned against him, trembling. "They beat us, Jerry. They kicked us out like trash. And now this?" Jerry's eyes darkened. "They don't deserve to know the truth. Not yet. Let them think they chased us into the streets." The Bentley turned off the main road. Nadia's eyes widened as she read the sign, "Banana Island." Her chest tightened. This was where billionaires lived. Houses taller than her father's dreams. Streets so clean they looked polished. Guards with guns standing at golden gates. The car slowed before a mansion so vast it looked like a palace. White walls, tall pillars, wide glass windows shining under the afternoon Sunday. A fountain bubbled at the center of the driveway, and roses bloomed in gardens stretched wider than the whole compound she grew up in. The convoy stopped. Guards in uniform stepped forward, saluting as Jerry and Nadia stepped out. At the mansion, Nadia stood still, her mouth slightly open, her heart drumming. She felt small, almost afraid to walk. Jerry stood behind her, his hand warm on her shoulder. "Welcome home, Nadia." She turned to him, tears still on her face. This can't be real." "It's real," he said. "And it's yours." A maid rushed out with a tray of water. Another bowed slightly. Nadia flinched, not used to people treating her with respect. Jerry guided her up the marble steps and through the golden doors. Inside, the house was brighter than daylight itself. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Polished floors reflected their steps. A wide staircase curled upward like something from a movie. Nadia placed her hand on the railing to steady herself. "Jerry, I don't belong here." He turned to her, cupping her face. "Yes, you do. Because you belong with me. And this is my world. From today, it's our world." She closed her eyes, trying to breathe. Images of Auntie Sandra's slipper, Uncle Namdi's harsh words, and the padlocked gate filled her mind. Just hours ago, she was kneeling in the dust, begging. Now, she stood in a mansion. Jerry kissed her forehead. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow, I'll show you the study. I've already spoken to the university. You'll sit for the entrance exam. You're going to study software engineering, Nadia. You're going to live your dream." Her tears fell freely now. She clutched his shirt. "I don't deserve this." He pulled her close. "You deserve everything good." Nadia lifted her head, still crying, when suddenly a loud knock echoed through the mansion's golden doors. The guards outside shifted. The knock came again, louder, heavier, almost desperate. Jerry frowned. "Who dares knock on my door like that?" Nadia's chest tightened. A voice boomed from outside, familiar, rough, and filled with anger. "Nadia, open this door right now." Her blood ran cold. It was Uncle Namdi. The pounding on the golden doors echoed like thunder inside the vast mansion. Nadia's breath caught in her throat. She knew that voice. She would never forget the sharp, commanding tone of Uncle Namdi, the man who had slapped her, dragged her out, and locked the gate against her. "Open this door." "Nadia, I said open." His voice cracked with anger. The guards glanced at Jerry, waiting for instructions. Nadia's knees weakened. She gripped the railing of the grand staircase as if it could hold her heart steady. Jerry's jaw tightened. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't panic. Instead, he said calmly, "Do not open. Let him knock until his fists bleed." The guards nodded, but Nadia's chest heaved. "Jerry, he followed us here. He must have trailed the cars. What if they hurt you? What if—" Jerry turned to her, his eyes steady, his hand resting firm on her shoulder. "He cannot touch you here. This is my home, my guards, my world, and you, Nadia, are safe in it." Still, the banging grew louder. Auntie Sandra's shrill voice joined from outside. "Shameless girl, you disgrace our family, and now you hide here. Come out before we drag you out ourselves." Nadia's stomach twisted. Her face burned with humiliation. She wanted to vanish. Hours ago, she was at their mercy, kneeling on the dusty ground. Now, she was inside walls of marble, with a man they didn't know had power beyond their imagination. Jerry lifted his hand, and a guard stepped forward to the massive double doors, not to open them, but to press a button. Instantly, a giant screen on the wall lit up, showing a live feed of the driveway. There they were, Uncle Namdi, tall, broad-chested, sweat shining on his dark skin. His face was twisted in rage. Beside him, Auntie Sandra flapped her wrapper angrily, slippers in hand, her lips moving like sharp blades. A cluster of curious neighbors had followed too, whispering and pointing. Nadia covered her face with both hands. God, I can't face them again. Not like this. Jerry's voice was like steel. You don't have to. They'll face me. He strode across the shining floor, his footsteps echoing. Nadia watched as he pressed another button. This time, the doors began to swing open slowly, their golden handles gleaming in the afternoon sunday. Gasps rose from outside. The neighbors stepped back. Auntie Sandra adjusted her wrapper nervously, though she quickly fixed her mouth back into a scowl. Jerry appeared in the doorway, tall, calm, dressed in the same simple shirt and trousers Nadia had always seen him in, but somehow, in the light of the mansion, he looked different. His presence filled the air like a command. Uncle Namdi blinked, confusion flashing in his eyes. You, the gateman? Where is Nadia? Jerry's lips curved into a faint smile. She is here, and she is safe. Auntie Sandra hissed. Safe? With you? Poor rat pretending to be a man? She pushed forward, pointing her slipper. Bring her out. She belongs to us. We decide her life, not you. Jerry's eyes hardened. He raised his hand. Instantly, two guards stepped in front of him, rifles gleaming in the sunlight. The neighbors gasped again, murmuring. Auntie Sandra froze mid-step. Uncle Namdi swallowed. His voice cracked for the first time. What is this? Jerry's voice dropped, steady and sharp. This is my home. My wife is inside. And you, he pointed directly at them, his eyes like fire, will never lay a finger on her again. From behind the staircase, Nadia trembled. She wanted to hide, but something inside her shifted. For years, she had been the silent orphan, obeying, enduring, swallowing pain to keep peace. But as she heard Jerry's words, something warm lit in her chest. She stepped out slowly. Her wrapper clung to her frame, her eyes still wet with tears. Everyone outside turned as the light from the mansion framed her figure. Nadia! Auntie Sandra shrieked. How dare you? You shame us in front of the whole neighborhood, marrying a wretched fool, and now you stand there like a queen. Nadia's lips trembled, but she lifted her chin. For the first time, her voice didn't shake. I married a man who loves me. Not money, not status. Love. She looked at Jerry, then back at them. And I will not leave him. The neighbors murmured louder. Some nodded, others whispered. Uncle Namdi's face darkened. Ungrateful orphan. After we clothed you, fed you, you beat me. Nadia cut in, her voice rising. You humiliated me. You called me trash because I married who I loved. But now you stand here, demanding I crawl back. No more, uncle, no more. Her voice broke, but her eyes didn't waver. Jerry stepped to her side, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. You heard her. Leave now, or I will ensure you never come close again. Uncle Namdi's mouth opened, but before words came out, headlights swept across the driveway. Another car pulled up sleek, silver, carrying the emblem of government. The murmurs grew louder. From the car, a man in a crisp agbada stepped out, his cap perfectly tilted. His face was familiar. Even Nadia recognized him from the news. Chief Adewale, one of the wealthiest men in Lagos, a longtime business partner of Gentech. He strode forward, shaking Jerry's hand warmly. Ah, Jerry, I heard you returned earlier than expected. I had to stop by. His eyes flicked to the crowd and lingered on Nadia. And this must be your wife. Beautiful. Gasps rippled through the neighbors. Auntie Sandra's slipper nearly fell from her hand. Uncle Namdi's knees wobbled. Chief Adewale glanced at them. And who are these people, shouting at your gate like market women? Jerry's lips curled into a thin smile. Relatives, but soon to be strangers. The chief chuckled, slapping Jerry's back. Good man, cut off the weeds, or they'll choke your garden. The words landed like heavy stones on Uncle Namdi and Auntie Sandra. They stood frozen, shame creeping up their faces as the neighbors stared. Nadia's heart raced. She had defended herself, Jerry had protected her, and now the world was beginning to see the truth. But just as the neighbors began to disperse, Auntie Sandra's eyes narrowed. She leaned close to Uncle Namdi and whispered, loud enough for Nadia to hear, "This is not over. That girl will pay. If not today, another day." Nadia shivered. For the first time since entering the mansion, fear returned. Because she knew Auntie Sandra meant it. The mansion was quiet that evening, but Nadia could not rest. The chandeliers glowed softly, the marble floor reflected golden light, and yet her heart remained heavy. She lay on the massive bed Jerry had shown her, but her mind replayed Auntie Sandra's hissed words like a curse. "This is not over. That girl will pay." She turned and tossed. Beside her, Jerry slept peacefully, his hand resting protectively on her waist. He trusted the guards, the high walls, the security cameras, but Nadia knew her aunt and uncle better than anyone. They were not the kind to accept defeat. Meanwhile, across town, in their modest home, Auntie Sandra and Uncle Namdi sat in the dark, a single kerosene lamp flickering between them. Sandra's wrapper was loose on her shoulder, her eyes glowing with spite. "You saw it with your own eyes, Namdi," she hissed. "Cars, guards. That boy is not just a gateman. He is somebody big. And now the whole street is laughing at us." Namdi rubbed his jaw, anger tightening his face. "I don't understand it. How could a boy we thought was nothing turn out to be a man of power? We chased them out, thinking we destroyed them. Instead, we pushed them into glory." Sandra slammed her hand on the table. "Then we must destroy them again, this time properly." Namdi leaned closer, lowering his voice. "We cannot fight him with wealth. He has more money than we can ever dream. But power can be weakened by shame. If we can drag his name in the mud, if we can make the world question his reputation, then his billions will mean nothing." Sandra's lips twisted into a wicked smile. "And who will they believe if we tell them he bewitched our Nadia? That he tricked her, used her innocence? We will tell the press, the churches, anyone who listens. The people love a scandal more than truth." Her eyes gleamed. "Let us destroy them with lies." Back in Banana Island, Nadia rose from bed, pacing silently so as not to wake Jerry. She looked around at the tall curtains, the glistening floor, the life that felt like a dream. She pressed her palms together, whispering, "God, please, don't let them hurt us again." She walked to the window. The night sky was calm, but something in her heart felt stormy. Just then, she heard a soft knock. She froze, her breath caught. Who could be knocking at her bedroom door at midnight? Cautiously, she opened it. A maid stood there, her eyes lowered. "Madam, forgive me for disturbing you. There is something you should see." Nadia's heartbeat quickened. She followed the maid down the wide hallway to the living room, where a television was already switched on. The news channel was running, breaking news. On the screen was Auntie Sandra, her wrapper tied firmly, crocodile tears rolling down her cheeks. She spoke passionately into microphones, her voice trembling in false sorrow. "My late brother's daughter, my own blood, has been stolen from us," she cried. "This so-called Jerry is a fraud. He pretended to be a poor gateman just to deceive her and take her inheritance. He brainwashed her, locked her away in that mansion. She is a prisoner there. We beg Nigerians to help us set her free." The reporters nodded, jotting notes. The camera zoomed in on Sandra's tear-streaked face. Nadia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. No, this is a lie." The maid looked at her nervously. "Madam, people are already sharing it online. They are saying terrible things." Nadia's legs nearly gave way. She pressed her back to the wall, trembling. By morning, the mansion buzzed with murmurs. The guards whispered. The maids glanced at their phones. Social media was flooded with headlines. Billionaire CEO accused of brainwashing orphan bride. Family cries out. Nadia held prisoner in Banana Island. Nadia sat at the dining table, her hands shaking as she scrolled through comments. Strangers cursed her name. Others pitied her. Some accused her of being a gold digger. Tears streamed down her face. Jerry walked in, his suit sharp, his tie neat. He looked at her calmly, though his eyes softened at her distress. "Nadia." She looked up, broken. "Jerry, they are destroying us. Everyone believes them. They're calling me greedy. They're calling you a fraud. What if they succeed? What if this ruins you?" Jerry moved closer. placing his hand gently over hers. His voice was firm. Listen to me. Wealth is not built on the opinions of liars. My name is stronger than their whispers. I have weathered storms far greater than this. But, he raised a finger gently. But nothing. They will learn that a lie may run fast, but truth walks steadily, and truth always arrives. He leaned down, kissing her forehead. Trust me, Nadia. Let me handle this. That evening, Jerry called his lawyer and a close friend in the media. He sat with Nadia in the study, explaining his plan. They want to use shame against us, Jerry said. So we will let them speak, let them accuse, and then we will answer. Not with words, but with proof. Nadia's brow furrowed. Proof? Jerry nodded. He opened a drawer and pulled out a thick file. Before I revealed myself to you, I had already documented everything. The months I worked as a gateman, the conversations we had, the evidence that I chose this path to find love, not prey. The world will see the truth. Nadia's lips parted in awe. He had planned everything, even this storm, but still a shadow lingered in her heart. Jerry, they will not stop. Even if the world doesn't believe them, Auntie Sandra will not rest. She hates me too much. Jerry's eyes darkened. Then let her come. I am ready. The next day, Jerry arranged a press conference. Reporters flooded the mansion grounds, cameras flashing, microphones raised high. Nadia stood by his side, her hand trembling in his. Jerry stepped forward, his voice commanding, his eyes sharp as steel. Today, you will hear the truth, he began. Not from liars outside my gate, but from the man they call a fraud. The crowd leaned forward, the cameras rolling. Nadia's heart pounded in her chest. Just as Jerry was about to continue, a loud voice pierced the crowd. Stop this charade. All heads turned. Auntie Sandra and Uncle Namdi pushed through the press, holding a worn brown envelope high in the air. We have proof, Sandra shouted. Proof that Nadia is nothing but a thief in disguise. Nadia's eyes widened. Her blood ran cold. What could be inside that envelope? The conference hall fell into stunned silence. All eyes were fixed on the brown envelope Auntie Sandra held high. Nadia's breath came short, her fingers clenching Jerry's hand. Sandra's voice rang out, sharp and triumphant. This envelope contains the truth about that girl you all pity. Nadia is nothing but a thief who planned to marry into wealth. She deceived this man, and now she hides behind his billions. The reporters buzzed like bees, shoving microphones closer. Cameras zoomed in. Uncle Namdi puffed his chest, nodding with arrogance. Nadia felt the ground tilt beneath her. What if it's true? What if they've twisted something I don't know about? What if? Jerry gently squeezed her hand. His calm eyes met hers. Breathe, trust me. Sandra marched to the podium, slamming the envelope on the desk. With dramatic flair, she tore it open and pulled out faded documents. She waved them in the air like victory flags. Here, proof that Nadia's late father left property and money for her. But she ran away with this so-called gateman to cheat her family. She is greedy. She is ungrateful. She is cursed. Gasps filled the hall. Reporters scribbled furiously. Nadia staggered back, her lips trembling. She had never seen those papers before. But Jerry did not flinch. He stepped forward, his voice steady. May I? He asked coolly, taking the papers from Sandra's hand. He scanned them briefly, then raised his head. His voice carried across the hall like thunder. These are forged. The crowd erupted with whispers. Jerry held up one page. This so-called will is dated 2 years after Nadia's father died. Dead men do not sign wills. Laughter rippled through the reporters. Sandra's face paled. Jerry flipped to another page. This bank document carries the wrong logo. The bank changed its symbol 5 years ago. These clowns forgot to update it. Gasps turned to chuckles. Cameras flashed. Sandra's hand shook. You are lying. Jerry's voice hardened. No, you are lying. And worse, you have tormented this young woman for years. You beat her, starved her, called her orphan, and spat on her marriage. Yet she kept silent, protecting your dignity. Today, your lies end. The hall burst into noise, reporters shouting, neighbors nodding, friends clapping. Chief Adewale himself stood, pointing at Sandra and Namdi. Shame on you. Instead of protecting the girl your brother left, you made her life a nightmare. And now you try to ruin her again? Wickedness has no mask strong enough to hide forever. Sandra's face crumpled. Namdi, usually so loud, shrank back like a beaten dog. Reporters crowded them, microphones poking like spears. Why did you lie? Did you forge these documents yourself? Have you been stealing from Nadia's inheritance? They tried to flee, but the cameras followed. Their pride melted into disgrace before the whole nation. Nadia stood frozen, tears sliding down her cheeks. Jerry turned back to her, wiping her face gently with his thumb. You are free now. No more chains. Her chest heaved with relief. For the first time, she believed him. 7 years from the day they were kicked out, a black car turned onto the old street. Nadia looked out the window and felt the ache return the dusty road. The leaning fence, the mango tree branch reaching over the wall. Her parents' house was gone. Sold, changed, painted a loud color that did not fit the memory. Her chest tightened, but she did not look away. They met the current owner. He was kind. He had no idea of her story. Jerry made an offer of 50 million naira. The man's eyes widened. He said yes, he could build a new house in a better place. He handed over the papers with a smile. That week, the bulldozers came. The old walls fell. Nadia stood with a hard hat, watching with tears she did not wipe. She did not mourn the bricks. She honored the people, Emeka and Margaret, who had made that house a home. In the empty lot, workers marked new lines with rope and chalk. Steel rose. Glass followed. A courtyard opened to the sky. A clinic room, a library, a coding lab, and a warm dining hall took shape. When it was done, a new sign stood at the gate. The Emeka and Margaret Foundation. Education, health, family support for orphans and widows. On launch day, children in neat uniforms sang. Widows received care packs and small grants. Nurses checked blood pressure. Volunteers set up tablets in the lab. The building was bright and simple. No show, just light, air, and love. Nadia cut the ribbon with shaking hands. This is to honor my parents, she said into the mic. May no child feel alone. May no widow sleep in fear. A soft stir moved through the crowd. Heads turned. 2 figures stood at the gate in faded clothes, Auntie Sandra and Uncle Namdi. Time had carved lines into their faces. Pride had drained from their eyes. They walked forward and knelt. Nadia, Sandra said, voice cracked. We were wrong. We were cruel. Forgive us. Namdi swallowed. We chased you away from your father's house. We let envy rule us. We are sorry. The reporters held their breath. Children went quiet. Jerry's hand found Nadia's back, steady but light. Nadia looked at them. She remembered the slaps, the dust, the padlock. She also remembered her mother's words. Bitterness is a poison. Forgiveness is a door. Her voice was clear. I forgive you. Sandra sobbed, shoulders shaking. Namdi bowed his head to the floor. But hear me, Nadia added, calm and firm. Forgiveness does not open the old door. We will not go back to pain. You will not control me. You will not hurt me again, so that my heart may heal, and so that my parents' names Emeka and Margaret will never be dragged through bitterness. Applause rose like a wave, soft at first, then strong. Some cried. Some smiled through tears. That evening, the sun leaned low over the city. Nadia, Jerry, and little Emeka walked the quiet path at the cemetery. The air smelled of grass and dust. 2 headstones waited under the shade of a tree. Emeka Okafor, beloved father. Margaret Okafor, beloved mother. Nadia placed fresh white flowers. Baby Emeka held a tiny bunch and dropped it on the soil with clumsy hands. Jerry stood beside them, silent, respectful. Nadia knelt. Mommy, Daddy, I kept the dream. I studied. I built the apps we talked about. I teach children you would have loved. I married a man who kept his word. This is your grandson, Emeka. He carries your name. Her voice broke. She touched the stone. We built the Emeka and Margaret Foundation on the very ground where our house stood. It is a place of help, not hurt. A place of light. The wind moved through the leaves. A soft peace settled over them. Jerry knelt too, resting a hand on Nadia's back. Thank you for trusting me, he said softly to the stones. I will protect your daughter as long as I have breath. Baby Emeka laughed at a butterfly, then leaned against his mother's shoulder. Nadia smiled through tears. We came from ashes, she whispered, but we chose light. They stood. The sky turned gold. The city hummed far away. Nadia took Jerry's hand. Jerry lifted Emeka into his arms. Together, they walked back down the path, no longer running from the past, but carrying it forward with grace. Later that night, when they returned to their mansion, Nadia stood at the balcony. She felt a peace she had never known. Jerry wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You were magnificent," he whispered. Nadia leaned against him, her voice soft. "All my life, I was called orphan. But today, I feel like a daughter again. A daughter of Emeka and Margaret. And maybe a mother to every child who walks through those gates." Jerry kissed her forehead. "And I am honored to stand beside you." As they stood together under the night sky, the pain of the past had been transformed into light. Nadia smiled through her tears. She was not just surviving. She was shining, and in their modest houses, Sandra and Namdi sat on the floor broken but forgiven. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.